Hey guys, what is going on? This is Deadly. Welcome back to some more Escape from Tarkov. Today we are going to be talking about the PP-19-01, which is the most recent addition to the Escape from Tarkov arsenal. In this video, I'm just going to be giving you guys my thoughts and opinions while using the weapon during a game of Factory, and I was actually using this weapon to farm for various task keys. So I jumped in with a Kiver and Defender and with a PP-19 with a lot of ammunition and just went to work. So how can you get your hands on this thing? Well, it's actually rather easy. You just need to get Prapor level 2. And if you are struggling with some of the Prapor tasks, you're in luck. I just made a video covering all the primary Prapor tasks to get you up to loyalty rank. So if you're struggling, just go over there, watch that video, do a few tasks, and come back here. You will be able to purchase this weapon, the dust cover with the rail and the multiple magazines and the compensator right away. And essentially that's all the available attachments for it at the moment. This thing is unable to be currently fit with a suppressor, which is kind of a bummer, especially since all the other SMGs have that option available to them. So the PP-19 is shooting 9mm, and I don't know about you guys, but in the previous patches, the 9mm cartridge has been pretty shitty. It did about 35 points of damage last patch, and now does 45 points of damage, which is a significant increase. So it's going to make these guns a lot more viable, but it's also going to give weapons like the MP5 and MPX a significant boost as well. Now, one of the really good things about this gun is it's actually relatively cheap in comparison to some of the other options out there. It's not as cheap as an AKS, however, it is definitely more economically viable than a Keter. To get a Keter, you need to either purchase two shotguns, two MP-133 shotguns, or you have to find those weapons and trade them into Prapor. For this weapon, you just got to buy it for roughly 40,000 rubles, and then you have access to this weapon. The magazines are a little bit more on the strange part. You can get a 10-round magazine right now, which looks exactly like the 30-round magazine, so just be careful whenever you're buying those mags from Prapor and don't make a mistake, because I actually did. And when it comes to filling up your magazines, I still think that the PST-GZH rounds are better because they are almost half the price. They do the exact same type of damage with the exact same penetration chance, and they pretty much do the exact same penetration. The only thing is the PST-GZH has a higher initial velocity, basically meaning you're going to kill shit faster than FMJ rounds. I know FMJ seems like the better option when it comes to damage output, but I can assure you with the 9x19 that is currently not the case, but will most likely change in the future. Now, when it comes to SMGs though, it is definitely the, believe it or not, the most inexpensive at your disposal and is a perfect weapon for maps like the Factory. And in fact, I haven't done a whole lot of experimentation for other maps like Customs, but for the most part, I'm sure it would do really well there. Obviously, where this weapon will start to get a little bit weaker and not as successful is in those longer range firefights that are on shoreline and on the woods. So just keep in mind, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I don't think I need to tell you that. It's an SMG, so use it in appropriate situations. And just keep that in mind. Whenever you're using it and judging it, don't bitch out at the gun because you're trying to take out some dude at like 200 meters away with this weapon. It is really meant, it is honestly one of the perfect Factory runs. And for somebody that is actually able to farm money relatively easily, especially on the Factory, or if you're trying to complete a lot of tasks, because I know there's a lot of scavs that you're going to have to kill with the most recent update to get those keys, I found that this was one of the perfect weapons for that. Because of the ammunition being like extremely quick, and for the most part, you're going to be going up against people with shotguns and pistols. You'll find the odd guy with like the long AK or M4, but for the most part, you're going to be dealing with hatchlings and lower tiered weapons. This thing will just rip those guys apart and the scavengers as well. So for 40,000 rubles, you really can't go wrong. The ammo is cheap, large magazine capacities. You can get that rail on there, put optics on there, whatever one you want. Now, I felt that the optic was kind of needed. I felt like whenever I was shooting this weapon on full auto, the iron sights were a little janky. It really felt like it had a lot more recoil than it actually does, because with the PK-06, it almost felt non-existent. So I'm really hopeful, man. Throw a nice little like handguard on there for suppressor, and I feel like this gun might overtake the Keter in some ways, but it certainly does not have the damage output of the Keter. Because of that 9x18 round with the SP7, PPE, and SP8, just doing so much damage, it's kind of absurd. I don't think really anything will be able to compete with that kill time. However, the one thing where the Keter would lack is against people who are wearing armor. So for example, you're seeing me wearing a defender armor and a kiver. A weapon like the Keter, especially armed with SP7, would have increased difficulty in actually killing me. The one thing that 9x19 has going for it is it does have decent penetration power. So if somebody does have that armor, you're going to have a higher success rate armed with the PP-19 than you would a Keter. However, with the like the damage buff to the 9x19, it still makes the MPX and the MP5 a much better option. But you have to remember that those weapons cost 900 USD for a stock MP5 and 1500 USD for an MPX roughly. And I know this gun is in rubles, but that would be roughly 400 USD. So you're talking less than half the price of an MP5 and just a fraction of the price of an MPX, and you get something that is pretty similar and powerful for the factory. And another good thing to mention is this is the first SMG that you'll most likely be able to purchase because it's level 2 prep war that I mentioned earlier in the video. So if you are new to the game and you're looking for an SMG, but you just don't have the shotguns to trade in, or you don't have access to the magazines, really, you have to trade in cigarettes for the Keter mags. With this weapon, you don't have to do any trading. You can just buy the mags, you can buy the gun, so you'll just have way more access to this gun than you would the Keter and the MP5 and the MPX. So this is just another point to make. This is the most accessible SMG in the game currently, and honestly one of the better guns that you can get almost right out the gate when you start your new characters. So the PP-19 is a relatively decent budget SMG. It might not have the fastest rate of fire, it might not have the least recoil, but it is definitely the most accessible. You don't need to do complex trades to get access to the weapon or the magazines, and you're not really overwhelmed with what ammunition do I gotta use. Both the FMJ and the PST work great, especially in CQB. That additional velocity will make a bit of a difference, but overall the damage outputs are going to be the same, so you don't have to worry about if your ammo is right for the gun or is it going to have the highest penetration rate or the highest damage output. It's just going to work. Well guys, that is my thoughts and opinions on the new weapon, the PP-19-01 Vityaz. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, but I hope you guys found this video useful and insightful. If you guys want to leave your comments and your opinions about this weapon in the comment section below, I'm completely open to start a debate on it, but I think it's going to be a nice addition, especially for those new players that just don't have that much income yet. Hope you guys have a good one. I hope you're all enjoying the new update for Escape from Tarkov, and I'll see you guys in the next one.